Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, Abuja Electricity Distribution Company backtracks on electricity tariff increase as former National Economic Advisor warns that planned price hike will impact negatively on citizens. Reconciliation efforts between farmers and herders fails over disputed grazing reserve in Katsina. Vice President Kashim Shettima decorates new customs boss, seeks more innovation. And on the foreign scene, Russian mercenary leader Yevgeny Prigozhin says mutiny aimed at saving Wagner, not overthrowing Russian government. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour tonight. I am Eugenia Abu. Chief Economic Advisor to former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Professor Ode Ojowu, says government's plan to increase electricity tariff will have wider economic implications on small businesses and low-income earners. Professor Ojowu made the observation while speaking to Trust TV on Monday in Abuja. He said it is imperative for government to provide safety nets for citizens to reduce their sufferings at a time when fuel subsidy removal is still biting hard.
There is a removal of the fuel subsidy. There is an anticipated increase in the multi-year tariff system. And in fact, there is also, I understand that there is going to be a VAT on diesel. So the immediate impact is to hike the inflation rate and reduce the purchasing power of individuals. But in the medium to long term, if this increase ensures stable supply of electricity, it may counter the short-term impact of price increases. But the experience from the past, so far my personal and so many other people's experience that the electricity sector has been very epileptic, and I do hope that the price increase is not a reflection of the inefficiency of the system. Government needs to do is to try and put money in the pockets of particularly the vulnerable, because there is going to be differential impact of these measures on people depending on their income levels. The vulnerable group are the very low income group, you have the middle income group, and then you have those who have the capacity to adjust. In other words, if you were using 10 cars before, you may now decide to use half of those. But there are people who don't have any room for adjustment. If you are traveling by public transport, there's no adjustment except to reduce how many times you travel.
Chief Economic Advisor to former President Olusegun Obasanjo. In the meantime, the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, AEDC, has appealed to its customers to disregard the planned tariff increase as approval for such an increment had not been received. AEDC management made the appeal in a statement on Monday in Abuja. The company had earlier in a statement said there would be an upward review of electricity tariffs from July the 1st. According to the statement, the tariff increase is influenced by the fluctuating exchange rate. In the earlier statement, AEDC had said customers with bands B and C with supply hours ranging from 12 to 16 hours per day are expected to pay 100 naira per kilowatts per hour, while bands A with 20 hours and above and B 16 to 20 hours will experience comparatively higher tariffs. In the statement, AEDC encouraged customers with prepaid meters to consider purchasing bulk energy units before the end of June, as this would allow them to take advantage of the current rates and make savings before the new tariffs came into effect. Attempts by authorities of Keita local government area of Katsina State to reconcile farmers and herders over a disputed grazing reserve has failed. Dispute over a grazing reserve in Yanhoho village has been a source of worry between the two communities after the local council allocated part of the grazing area to farmers in 2020 with an agreement to return the land to the herders in 2023. Abdullahi Yamadi reports that trouble is brewing in the community over the unresolved matter.
Kaita local authorities swiftly summoned the two parties for reconciliation after Trust Television News reported a possible breakdown of law and order over the disputed grazing reserve. However, when the reconciliation talks failed, herders and farmers began to accuse the local government council of conspiring to cause unnecessary tension.
Abinda kwamiti suka ce kenan. There seems to be too much argument over this, and I suggested that let the committee go back to the local government and sit and look into this affair once again, so that the committee will resolve this issue amicably.
The herders asked Kaita local government to respect the earlier agreement of ejecting the farmers and hand over the disputed area to them, which for long served as grazing reserve and cattle routes. As herders, all we know, there is a breach of an agreement between us and Kaita Local Government Council. Our stand is, we don't accept what happened here, but as law-abiding citizens, we will still wait to see what higher authorities will do before arriving at any conclusion. The farmers, however, claimed that they have legally acquired the land after payment of 4,000 naira each into the coffers of the local government council. Look, we will not accept any of this, and we will continue with our farming activities here. We want to see who will stop us from cultivating this land they call grazing reserve. Yes, we will see. Many Katsina residents are blaming the local government for creating a problem where there is none, calling on Governor Dikorada to intervene immediately to prevent breakdown of law and order in the state. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
In a related development, pastoralists in Bauchi want the federal government to preserve international cattle routes from encroachment by farmers and other external forces. A pastoralist leader, Abubakar, made the call while interacting with journalists on their way to Jakuskum, Yobe State, from southern part of the country with their animals. Trust TV's Adamu Imam files this report.
Pastoralists in Nigeria move from one location to another in search of pasture for their animals, but in some cases, the animals wander into farmlands, creating friction with farmers. Abubakar is leading his family members to another location with herds of their animals, but stopped between Misau and Darazo local government areas of Bauchi State to rest. Adamopolo said they need clearly marked cattle routes to pass with their animals to avoid clashes with farmers especially. We need government to protect our international cattle routes. Our cattle and major highways cannot march. At the same time, our animals passing, people keep on complaining against us to pay fine afterward. They even harass us with the animals and say we must pay damage to drivers alike. This is injustice. We are appealing to the authority to do what is right at the right time. We are Nigerians. We are using the land to feed our animals, but they cut it down, just like that. We need to continue as caravans. People and government should do the needful to allow us to continue moving forward, even if there is cattle routes here. In some areas is none. So what can we do now, for God's sake? Muhammad Lilo, a resident of Zidi, a nearby village, says they were promised alternative roads, but none is provided yet. Our parents settled there before, and now we moved. Because of the new constructed roads, we witness it. This entire land is being occupied. Even to get food for animals is very difficult here. And again, this time around, they allocated the lands to farmers. They cut it down completely. No more space for us, please. These pastoralists argue that if given the conducive atmosphere, they can help boost Nigerian economy by making milk and meat readily available. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Ahead of Arafat Day on Tuesday, Nigerian pilgrims have converged on Mina, the tent city, for 5 days Hajj rituals. Mina is 7 kilometers away from the Grand Mosque in Mecca, which serves as the epicenter of the Hajj exercise. Sharif Al-Hassan reports from Mina, the tent city.
The world's biggest religious gathering in Islam, with an estimated number of 3.5 million pilgrims, will be taking place here in Mina, the tent city, for a 5-day Hajj rituals. The 5-day activities here in Mina include standing on the Mount of Arafat and spending the nights on the plain of Muzdalifah, among other Hajj rituals. We will be talking to some Islamic clerics for them to shed light on the pilgrim stay here in Mina.
All pilgrims are going to convert from Mecca to Mina, where they are going to prepare for themselves before the Arafat Day. The significance of this day is to put all pilgrims who intended to do his pilgrimage to come and stay at Mina, preparing himself, mentioning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making a lot of zikr. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك, telling his Lord that I have answered your call, I have answered your call, I have arrived, there is no one to be worshipped except you. So now whatever they were doing here is they were preparing themselves before the Arafat, because the Arafat is coming on 9th of Zulhijjah. This is the significance of why all Muslims pilgrims should convert to Mina on this day. They are going to stay here for 5 days. Today is the 8th day. The activity of 8 is just to come and stay, pray Zuhur, Asr, Maghrib, Isha in two rakats. The Zuhur is going to be prepared in 2 rakats. The Asr also is going to be prepared in 2 rakats. The Maghrib is as usual. The Isha is going to be prepared in 2 rakats. After Subhi, then they convert all of them to Arafah. That is on the 9th of Zulhijjah. On 9th of Zulhijjah is the day all pilgrims are going to gather at the Mount of Arafat, where they are going to observe only Zuhur and Asr prayers, and they are going to be combined together at the same time when it is time for Zuhur. That means that they are going to draw Asr from where it is to bring it down to Zuhur and pray Zuhur together with the Asr. After that, then they will start standing, praying until the sunset. If any one of the Muslims who appear not to be at that day, at that place in the daytime, and he has no reason why he was absent, he has to give a ram. And he must stay there until sunset. Anyone who leaves Arafat before the sunset, he has no Hajj on that year. He has to repeat it back again.
And to security matters now, the police in Ebonyi State have rescued the wife of the late staff of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Emmanuel Igwe. The late Emmanuel, until his death, was an assistant electoral officer of the Independent National Electoral Commission working in Afikpo North local government area of the state. The deceased was on 18th of June shot dead by suspected criminals who abducted his wife in Mbu, in Ishagu, in the Ivo local government area of Ebonyi State. Reports say the criminals operated with AK-47s. Police operatives in Ebonyi State Police Command on Sunday, following an intelligence report, stormed the hideout of the hoodlums and killed 3 members of the gang. It was gathered that the police also arrested no fewer than 8 members of the criminal gang. The chairman of Ivo local government area, Emmanuel Aja, confirmed the arrest and killing of 3 of the suspects to journalists on Sunday. Aja explained that the hoodlums were apprehended at their hideout in Lokpanta, Umuneuchi local government area of Abia State. He commended men of the Nigeria Police for their courage and gallantry and pledged that the council will not hesitate in ridding the area of criminals. The Delta State Police Command has killed a 58-year-old suspected member of the notorious Bobone armed robbery gang and recovered one AK-47 rifle and 3 magazines. According to a statement by the State Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Bright Edafe, on Sunday, the Divisional Police Officer in charge of A Division, Warri, CSP T.Y. Mahmood, raided the hideout of the gang in Warri on Friday. Edafe, who added that the police acted on what was described as credible intelligence to effect the arrest, also informed that the suspect reportedly confessed to being a member and armorer of the Bobone gang. According to the police, the suspect also gave additional information on the location of the other gang members and later led the police to their hideout along Chevron Road, where the team, on approaching the hideout, came under serious attack by his gang members. The statement further disclosed that the suspect, in an attempt to escape, was fatally maimed, preventing his escape, while his gang members escaped with gunshot injuries. Edafe said the suspect was later taken to the hospital, where he later died while receiving treatment, adding that the manhunt for the other gang members is ongoing. Relatives of the slain professor of forestry from the University of Ibadan, who was shot dead by unknown gunmen in front of his Ojo residence in Ibadan, have called for justice for the soul of the deceased, whose killers still walk the streets as free men. Speaking with our reporter in Ibadan, they called on security agents to rise to the occasion and bring the perpetrators of the heinous act to book. Here's that report.
It's one painful death that continues to linger in the hearts of family members, colleagues, and acquaintances who continue to throng the residence of lead professor of forestry Opeyemi Isaac Ajewole, who was shot dead in cold blood in front of his Ojo home in Ibadan by unknown gunmen on the 5th of June. Relatives of the deceased are yet to come to terms with the gruesome murder of this academic, who was said to have contributed much to the national development.
Thankfully, the deceased is a member of our church. I've been pastoring them for over 25 years. And we have seen him as a focused, stable person over the years. He loves God and he served God to the best I know. I saw him first Sunday of this month of June. We had a Thanksgiving service. He was with us in church. We all danced and thank God.
Professor Opeyemi Ajewole is Nigeria's Vice President Senator Kashim Shettima's classmate. Kayode Ogunsanwo was a close confidant of the deceased professor and was with him a few minutes before his last moments on earth.
Close to me when he left for that day. We were together in the club and he left. So when he was telling me that I needed not to go back to the office, that he has switched off my AC and then took off my light. I didn't know that he was actually switching his AC from me personally and then switching off his light from my life. I didn't know that we were speaking for the last time. As at now, everybody is really saddened. We are shocked by what happened. And then we derive joy in the fact that as a Christian, that my friend was, he has gone to meet with the Lord.
People familiar with the incident say this is one death too many and kicked against the constant killings of the nation's best brains. All they are seeking is for the arrest of the suspected assassin who is still walking free.
The National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, on Monday officially assumed duties with a pledge to subdue insecurity and stabilize Nigeria. Ribadu took over from former NSA Major General Babagana Mongono following his appointment by President Bola Tinubu on June 19th. He said the administration of President Tinubu had enormous responsibility of securing Nigeria, stabilizing it, and ensuring peace in all parts of the country. According to him, this is a task for all Nigerians. He assured that he intends to continue with what has been done. Ribadu, in a statement by the SA Strategic Communications Office of the National Security Advisor, Mijin Yawa, solicited the full cooperation of all servicemen and women, and by extension all Nigerians, in order to accomplish the present administration's quest for a more stable, peaceful and prosperous Nigeria. In his remarks, the former National Security Advisor, General Monguno, said Ribadu is well equipped, qualified, educated, and has a very deep understanding of the complexity of the security challenges confronting Nigeria, adding that the new NSA has a capacity to tackle whatever challenges he might encounter. In the meantime, the Acting Inspector General of Police, Olukayode Egbetokun, on Monday convened a crucial meeting with police officers on the need to enhance their operations. The meeting took place at the force headquarters in Abuja. The IGP emphasized his vision of fostering a police force that upholds the rule of law, adding that as a demonstration of this commitment, all police convoys engaged in routine, non-emergency movements must adhere to traffic lights and other traffic regulations. The IGP vowed to set an example by personally adhering to traffic rules. The timing of this meeting coincides with the IGP's recent announcement that he would establish special intervention and rapid response squads across the country aimed at addressing the prevailing security challenges.
The misuse of social media by police personnel, including our tactical officers, is a matter of great concern. Social media platforms have become powerful tools for communication, but when used irresponsibly, they can tarnish the reputation of our force and undermine public trust. I urge commanders to enforce strict guidelines on the use of social media by our officers in line with existing Social Media Policy 2022 and Cybercrime Prohibition Act 2015, emphasizing the importance of professionalism, respect for privacy, and the avoidance of any content that may be deemed offensive or unprofessional. Finally, let me end this speech by reminding you that those who keep the peace must be the epitome of peace. Those whose duty it is to enforce the laws of the land must themselves respect and obey the laws of the land.
Acting Inspector General of Police Olukayode Egbetokun. Vice President Kashim Shettima has decorated the new Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Adewale Adeniyi. At a brief ceremony at State House Abuja, the Vice President described the appointment of Adeniyi, a serving officer of the service, as a morale booster for officers in the service. The brief ceremony was witnessed by the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila. Kainde Amodu now reports.
In the last 8 years, the Nigeria Customs Service has been led by a Controller General that did not come from the ranks of the service. It is instructive that the Vice President describes the appointment of Adeniyi by President Tinubu as a return of professionalism to the Nigeria Customs Service. The appointment, he believes, opens the way for customs officers to aspire to attain the pinnacle of their professions. The new Controller General is not only grateful to President Tinubu for appointing a serving officer as the head of the agency, but is assuring him and all Nigerians of a more effective and innovation-driven customs service.
The last 8 years, customs has gone through a period of transition. Some progress has been made. We made remarkable progress in e-customs. We made a lot of breakthrough in capacity building, but then customs can still live to its full potentials, when we bring in some kind of innovations to drive customs operations.
And since professionalism is the new emphasis, the customs boss is promising that the service will rise up to meet the challenge, carrying along identified key stakeholders in the onerous task ahead.
There are a number of partners, stakeholders that we're going to be working with. It's a very onerous task for the customs, but we believe that we will be working alongside other stakeholders, other partners that we have identified who yearn to work with us, who felt that they've not been given enough say in customs matters, customs operations. So we intend to come up with a number of innovations that would help to carry along those stakeholders, those partners. We're going to leverage technology. We're going to try and use those innovative technologies to break new grounds in customs operations.
Adeniyi served as customs spokesman for almost 2 decades until January 2017, when he was redeployed to the Apapa Area Command as a deputy controller. His decoration comes 1 week after he was named the acting customs chief by President Bola Tinubu. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
A new Comptroller General has taken over the mantle of leadership of the Nigeria Customs Service. He is CG Adeniyi Adewale, who was decorated Monday morning at the Villa by the Vice President. At the ceremony, the new CG expressed his readiness to work hand in hand with his colleagues to fulfill the mandate of the Nigeria Customs Service. Chamun Dabeng now reports.
Monday marks the final day of the former Comptroller General Hamid Ali's administration in the Nigeria Customs Service. The outgoing CG passed the baton to Adeniyi Adewale, who will perform as the acting Comptroller General for the NCS. In his handover speech, Ali expressed confidence in the capability and competence of Adewale, and he enjoined the men of the service to fully cooperate with the new CG.
One of the most happiest person today that I'm handing over to somebody who knows the road and the obstacles we have gone through to be where we are today. So for him, it's just to continue from where we have stopped, because he knows the story, he knows the history, and he's part of the building block of what we are today. So I'm handing over to an officer that I know that will continue to build on what we have.
The newly decorated acting CG, Adeniyi Adewale, in his acceptance speech, said he will discharge his duties with dedication, fairness and integrity, even as he vowed to ensure the successful implementation of the Customs Act.
We understand that our conduct shapes the public's perception of the service. We will therefore strive to uphold the highest standards of professionalism and ethical behavior. Indiscipline will not be tolerated, as we prioritize fairness and equity. My predecessor had taken significant steps towards customs modernization. It is our duty to build on those gains. Staff welfare and capacity building have been revolutionized under the previous administration with the provision of decent packages and introduction of staff courses. We will therefore build upon these gains to ensure continuous growth and development of our workforce.
Adewale urged all NCS personnel, stakeholders, and the public to embrace the spirit of compliance, collaboration, and continuous improvement for the overall benefit of the service and the nation as a whole. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, we take a look at a ram worth 400,000 naira. This and more stories to come. Do stay with us.
documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Hour on Trust TV. A recap of some of our top stories. Abuja Electricity Distribution Company backtracks on electricity tariff increase as former National Economic Advisor warns that planned price hike will impact negatively on citizens. And reconciliation efforts between farmers and herders failed over disputed grazing reserve in Katsina. Moving on to other stories now, Kano State Governor Abba Kabir has sworn in 17 commissioners whose appointment is approved by the State House of Assembly. The new cabinet members have been directed to proceed to their various ministries to begin work immediately. Correspondent Idris Jibrin covered the swearing-in ceremony. Now reports.
And that I will preserve, protect and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
About a month since the swearing-in of Governor Abba Kabir, these 17 new executive members are here, promising to be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria and to equally discharge their duties without fear or favor.
Today, you have been made members of the Kano State Executive Council, the highest decision-making body that will drive and implement all the policies of the present administration. While congratulating you for being chosen to serve, let me remind you that your positions have placed a huge burden of responsibilities on your shoulders.
While observing the swearing-in, Governor Abba Kabir charged them to be good ambassadors of Kano State, while reminding them about the importance of trust as they carry out their assigned responsibilities.
The era of mediocrity is over. The era of indiscriminate land grabbing is over. The era of self-serving maladministration is gone, and by the grace of Allah for good. I also urge you as cabinet colleagues to maintain appropriate and harmonious relationship among yourselves as well as the civil servants in your respective ministries.
According to the governor, action plan for the implementation of his government policies has already been prepared and will soon be circulated among the new cabinet members of the administration.
Our people deserve the best, and we must give them the best. Having accepted to join the cabinet and serve as commissioners, I must remind you that we will be running a transparent and progressive government that will always put the people first. Kano State and the good people of the state must remain our #1 priority.
Those sworn in include Baba Dantie, the former Director General Media and Communication to former Governor Rabiu Konkoso, Chairman of the New Nigeria People's Party Haruna Dogwa, and Issa Dederi, who is now the new Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice, among others. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
The 24 members of Yobe State House of Assembly on Monday elected Buba Chiroma Mashiyo as Speaker of the 8th Assembly in the state. Mashiyo, representing Jajere constituency, is the oldest serving lawmaker in the country who occupied the State Assembly seat since 1999 to date. Mashiyo has been in the State Assembly since 1999 when he was elected as member representing Jajere constituency, Fune local government area of Yobe State, under the defunct All People's Party APP. The clerk of the House, Muhammad Alkali Yusuf, said the House received proclamation letter from Governor Mai Malabuni of the state to hold its first session on Monday the 26th of June based on power conferred on him by Section 105, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The nomination of Mashiyo as Speaker was moved by Adamu Daladogo, a member representing Karasua constituency. and was seconded by Bukar Mustafa Timba, representing Gaidam Central Constituency. The Cross River State Police Command has confirmed the discovery of the corpses of 3 medical students involved in the Marina Resort boat mishap in Calabar on Saturday. Speaking to journalists on Monday, the State Commissioner of Police, Gyorgon Grima, said the bodies recovered included those of 2 males and 1 female. Recall that 3 students were missing, while 11 others under the aegis of the Nigerian Medical Students Association, NIMSA, were rescued on Saturday after a speedboat capsized at the Calabar resort. It was gathered that the passengers were on a boat cruise when the mishap occurred around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The medical students were said to have come from universities from across the country to attend the NIMSA Annual Health Week in Calabar. Following the incident, the Cross River State Governor, Basio II, on Sunday ordered an investigation into the cruise boat mishap involving the medical students. 4 people have been injured in a gas explosion in Lagos in the early hours of Monday. The incident happened at Ijaye, beside the Apostolic Church, Agege, where it was discovered that a shop stored with gas cylinders caught fire. According to the State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, preliminary report, one of the gas cylinders exploded as a result of a leak. The incident affected the shop, while other shops and adjoining buildings were saved. While no loss of life was recorded, 4 persons sustained various degrees of injuries, second-degree burns, as a result of the incident, and they are being attended to by the agency's pre-hospital care alongside Lasambus. LASEMA Director General Olufemi Oke Osanitolu said the victims have been moved to Lagos University Teaching Hospital. The complete contingent of pilgrims from Nasarawa State have arrived the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to perform this year's pilgrimage. Public Relations Officer of the State Pilgrims Welfare Board, Abdul Razak Mohammed, who confirmed this to Trust TV, said over 2,000 pilgrims are already in the Holy Land performing different aspects of the religious obligation. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in this report from Medina.
Since last month, the National Hajj Commission commenced airlifting intending pilgrims who had met all the requirements from Nasarawa State. Speaking to Trust Television during the pilgrims' visit to some of the historical sites of Medina, the place of birth of Prophet Muhammad, may the peace be upon him, Public Relations Officer of the Nasarawa State Pilgrims Welfare Board, Abdul Razak Mohammed, confirmed that all the over 2,000 pilgrims from the state are already at the different places of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Mohammed explained that the pilgrims departed Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, to King Abdulaziz International Airport, Medina, in 5 different flights. The PRO, however, told Trust TV that 4 intending pilgrims could not make it to the holy journey because of the accident that involved them along Kefi, Abuja Road, on their way to Abuja Airport, a day before the commencement of the airlifting.
So far, we extended our gratitude to Almighty God Allah. This year, Hajj program, everything is going successfully. Since I away from the Medina, we perform our civic responsibility in Medina, Hajj responsibility. We are doing well without any problem. We proceed to Mecca. We did it very well. Now we are in Mina. Also, everything is going normal without any problem.
He said so far the pilgrims from the state are carrying out activities without challenges, except for environmental and food changes.
The conduct of the pilgrims of Nasarawa State is commendable. They have conducted themselves very well. I think there have not been any problem since we came from Medina to Mecca to this Mina. We've not seen any problem. They are okay.
Some of the state pilgrims shared their experiences in Saudi Arabia as they promised to pray for peace, unity, and progress of the country. Trust TV News observed that pilgrims from the state are domiciled at different locations close to Prophet Mosque in Medina and Masjid al-Kaaba in Mecca.
Security agencies in Kano State hold show of force exercise ahead of this year's Eid al-Kabir celebration. The exercise is to showcase readiness of security operatives to ensure peaceful celebration throughout the Salah period in the state. Trust TV's correspondent Idris Jibrin has that report.
It is a show of force in the form of work by operatives of the Nigeria Police Force, Army, Civil Defense, and all other relevant security agencies. Leading the work from the Sani Abacha Stadium to the Emir's Palace in Kofar Kudu, the State Commissioner of Police Muhammad Gumel said the idea is to assure people that their security of lives and property is guaranteed.
The purpose of this outing is nothing other than to give confidence to the populace and to give confidence to ourselves that the Salah celebration that is coming in the next 48 hours is going to be celebrated in a peaceful atmosphere.
According to the CP, police and all other sister security agencies have already mapped out strategies to effectively police Kano before, during and after the Salah period.
We are advising members of the public who are induced by anybody to come out and sabotage the peaceful conduct of the Salah celebration, which we know it is a tradition, it is a history-making event, and Kano State is in the focal of every nation in the world. We are aware that people all over the world are coming to Kano to witness the Durbar celebration. International communities will be with us to enjoy the festive period.
Meanwhile, the police are calling on all Kano residents to ensure they desist from committing any form of crime, as security operatives have since been deployed to enforce peace across the state. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Ahead of the Salah celebration, the Assistant Inspector General of Police, Zone 2, Onikon, Lagos, Ari Ali Mohammed, on Monday visited the command in Ikeja. Ali, during the visit, assured of the command's preparedness to ensure a hitch-free exercise in the state. Victoria Tokolo filed in this report as presented.
According to AIG Ari Ali, the command is proactive in synergizing with other security agencies to ensure the celebrations record no security breach.
For us in Lagos State, we are always proactive. Let me say so. We don't believe in reactive policing. And that is why you see officers and men of this command, whether on uniform or in mufti, moving around, nose diving, to get information about happenings. And don't forget, our men are scattered all over. We are also networking with members of the public that could have one or two information about the movement of these monsters to abreast us. That is not enough. We are also synergizing with other security agencies, like you are aware, realizing, of course, the fact that globally no one does it alone without partnership, and that we are doing. So by the special grace of God, before any terrorist will raise up his head to commit any havoc here in Lagos, trust me, we would have gotten that information and nipped the problem rightly in the book. Thank you.
The Commissioner of Police, Idowu Uwonwa, in his remark, stated that the command is working to ensure that issues of cultism, trafficking in firearms and gender, as well as domestic violence, are drastically reduced. CP Idowu said between February and June this year, they have arrested not less than 120 cultists in the state and recovered not less than 60 firearms.
Linked to these cultists. We have paraded
constantly, we do parade constantly those arrested so as to make a clear statement that the command under our common watch will not sit back and allow misguided elements hiding under the umbrella of cultism to threaten the internal security peace in this state, the internal security order in this state. And we are going to sustain this until they choose to either renounce cultism or to vacate the state.
The State Commissioner of Police said the command is committed to not just mopping up firearms from cultists, but also working with NGOs and stakeholders to see that sexual and gender-based violence are reduced in the state.
Residents of Minna, the Niger State capital, have lamented the high cost of livestock, particularly rams, cows and goats, a few days to Sallah. Trust TV correspondent Abubakar Akote, who went around livestock markets in Minna, reports that patronage is very low because of high cost of the rams. Here's that report.
Some buyers were seen leaving market without negotiating a price to make the purchase, as price almost doubled. The price of rams is between 70,000 naira and 200,000 naira or even more. Some buyers said they will have to forfeit the ritual if they could not afford to buy with the money they have.
The price is still high. One, the patronage is very low because many people don't have that money in their pocket to buy rams this time. With the other conditions, after Salah now children are going back to school, they will pay school fees and they will talk of food stuff. They will come and talk of health. So if you pack your money and buy ram now, how will you manage yourself to the end of the next month?
The market is tough this year. Rams are too costly, not like the previous years. The one I want to buy, I have priced it 50,000 naira, but the sellers disagree to sell for me at that price. While buyers groan over the cost, livestock sellers attributed to cost to high taxation by revenue officials, cost of feed, as well as high cost of transportation to convey the animals to Minna from Katsina, Zamfara, Maiduguri, Jigawa, Kebbi, Kano, and Sokoto states.
Since we are used to it, up to now, we still have hope for the selling of ram. Because sometimes the market come day to Salah, and even Salah day, we used to sell rams.
But our major concern is the way revenue officials are taxing us. Before you bring your ram to sell, you will have to pay 500 naira for each of the rams. That is what we have paid before we were allowed to stay here. Our market is not moving well. We chartered a trailer at the cost of 670,000 naira to come here from Katsina. The rams were sold between 40,000 naira and 50,000 naira previously, but now cost between 70,000 naira and 100,000 naira or even more this year. Abubakar Akote, Trust TV News, Minna.
In a related development, Gombe ram sellers say there is low turnout of customers at the main cattle market located in Tashanduku, just days to the Salah celebration. This comes as residents at the cattle market complain of hike in the price of ram. Ibrahim Ismail has that report.
Prices of rams at the Gombe cattle market ranges from 40,000 to 400,000 naira, depending on the size of the animal. Like in most part of the country, customers here who want to sacrifice ram to observe the Eid al-Adha ritual say the animals are very expensive this year. Last week, I bought a ram worth 50,000 naira. Its equivalent size is now 65,000 naira. There is increase in the prices. I came to buy rams, but the prices are exorbitant, just like last year. I have checked, the rams are expensive. This is one of the biggest ram in the whole of this market. The owner fixed the price at 400,000 naira, but low turnout of customers forced him to keep the animal longer than expected. The rams are available. Breeders have done their job, but no buyers. We have different sizes for the wealthy individuals and for the middle earners, but people are not coming to buy because there is no money. Reacting to the complaints on high prices of rams, sellers say the price increase is because of the current economic situation in the country. If you observe the current high cost of living in the country, so many people will say that the rams are expensive. Prices of foods in the market have also skyrocketed. That's why the rams are expensive. Rams are not expensive here, but because of the current economic realities, we have reduced the price. Muslims who have the means are encouraged to slaughter a ram in Eid al-Adha to commemorate Prophet Ibrahim's devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his readiness to sacrifice his son Ismail. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking is marked in Lagos with a call to strengthen action and cooperation in achieving a world free of drug abuse. Drug abuse and trafficking in Nigeria is reported daily, and the agencies saddled with the responsibility to curb the menace say they are working hard to combat the menace. Trust TV's Abbas Ibrahim Dalibi now reports.
Drug abuse and illicit trafficking continue to pose a significant threat to individuals, families, and communities across the world. To combat this threat, stakeholders say interagency collaboration is critical. Obudu Thomas is an assistant commander, narcotic, and the public relations officer of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, APAPA Command, and he says the danger of illicit drug is not limited to those who use it, but to the society. Nothing that the damage cannot be quantified.
Drugs affects, it creates a health problem for the user, it creates economic problem for those who are indulged in it as business, because they make this illicit money. They have tried to affect the economic. It affects the country politically because those who are into drugs are used as political talks. So holistically, drug damage a fabric of every nation. It cannot be quantified.
Thomas added that the National Drug Law and Enforcement Agency has adopted new strategies to curb the menace of drug abuse.
It is important to bring everybody on board to fight this culture of drug abuse, and then to disseminate the information of the dangers of drug abuse, to reduce the demand for drug, and to desist people from going to drug. So, WADA is on board by the chairman, which is War Against Drug Abuse.
Similarly, the Nigerian Customs Service destroyed 96 containers of illicit drugs in Lagos. The illicit drugs, according to the Custom Public Relations Officer, Abdullahi Mewada, were confiscated from drug dealers.
So we have condemned these items in the competent court of law, and after condemnation now we are destroying joint destruction with other relevant agencies like NAFDAC, like NDLA and others. We want to make sure that these 96 containers are destroyed and beyond recognition, so that these things will be taken out of the society and the ills that comes with taking this drug will be eliminated. So it's really catastrophic because one, these things are not really certified for consumption, which is dangerous to our health. Secondly, these items are those consumed and led to the social vices we are facing all over the nation. The insecurities and whatever are usually engineered, are usually the catalyst for that are usually drug addiction. So we have taken away substantially a huge amount of drugs that could have been very inimical, that will affect society.
The International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking is marked on June 26 every year to highlight the health challenges related to drug abuse and encourage combating measures like prevention, education, treatment, and rehabilitation. Abbas Ibrahim Alibi, Trust TV, Lagos.
On the foreign scene, Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin has spoken for the first time since calling off his forces' rebellion at the weekend, stating that the march on Moscow was aimed at saving his embattled mercenary outfit and not at ousting the Russian authorities. Speaking in an 11-minute audio message released on Telegram, he said the march had exposed serious security problems in the country, adding that he called off the mutiny to avoid spilling Russian blood. Yevgeny Prigozhin broke his silence on Monday, 2 days after halting Wagner's march on Moscow. Russian mercenary group Wagner has been seen for years as an armed extension of Moscow's influence in Syria and Africa, but these overseas operations have now been called into question by its leader's failed revolt against the Kremlin. After calling off his troops' advance towards Moscow, Wagner head Yevgeny Prigozhin is expected to go into exile in Belarus. And with that, we have come to the end of NewsHour on Trust TV tonight. Do not forget to engage and follow us across all our media platforms, also on our YouTube live stream. On behalf of the entire team, my name is Eugenia Abu. We thank you for joining us at this hour.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.